Welcome to our class on an overview of disasters, particularly agricultural disasters. This is being taught to you, from my book, Principles and Practices of Agricultural Disaster Management by Radha Krishna Murthy. Now, see, in this class, we are going to understand what is a disaster. What are the major types of disasters? Disasters based on set on time, disasters based on response time, impact of disasters on people, scale of disasters, then assessment of agricultural losses due to disasters, disaster management, that is the phases of disaster management vision, and finally community based disaster management we are going to discuss. Now, see what is a disaster. Disaster by definition, hazard into vulnerability. Hazard into vulnerability is a disaster. This bit is 100% certain in the JRF, in the basic courses. Disaster is equal to hazard into vulnerability. So from there we start our journey. Now, you see what are the major types of disasters. The next one is what are the major types of disasters. See, the hydrometeorological or natural disasters. Hydrometeorological or natural disasters. Climate, that include climatic hazards and natural calamities like earthquake, famine, flood, cyclone, drought, dust storm, landslide, volcano, avalanches, etc., etc., etc. So these are hydrometeorological or natural disasters. Second one is the man-made disasters. Technological disasters like dam failures, because of the world, because of the age of the dams, maybe sometimes technical defects, nuclear accidents, oil spill, gas leakage, fire, social disasters like riots and mass migration. So these are all the man-made disasters. So localized and widespread disasters. What is a localized disaster? A fire accident in a village. What is a widespread? And volcanic eruption is a widespread. What is a major and minor disasters? Major means earthquake, minor means gas leak. So predictable and unpredictable. Predictable is a drought, unpredictable is a lightning and earthquake. Even though earthquakes and lightnings can be predicted, there is no lead time. So that's why. So these are the major types of disasters for your academic interest. Once again, hydrometeorological or natural disasters like climatic hazards, man-made disasters like dam failures, etc. Localized and widespread. Localized is fire accident, widespread is volcanic eruption. Major and minor. Major is earthquake, minor is the gas leak. And predictable and unpredictable. Predictable disaster is the drought, unpredictable disaster is the lightning and earthquake, even though we can predict to some extent, lightning from a cumulonimbus cloud, so there is no lead time. Now, so disasters based on two things are there. Disasters based on set on time, disasters based on response time. Let us see what are the disasters based on set on time. Slow and onset disasters which are predictable. Slow onset disasters, which are predictable. Drought, famine and food shortage. Quick onset disasters which are predictable. Quick but they are predictable. Cyclones, floods and typhoons. Quick onset disasters which are unpredictable. That is the lightning, earthquakes, landslides, avalanches, etc., etc., etc. Now disasters based on the response time. So what are there are three types of disasters based on the response time. Long response time, famine and droughts. Short response time, cyclones and floods. No response time, earthquake and landslides. So this is what there are 4 D's of disasters. Of course, as far as basic course is concerned, we should know some basics. Death, disease, damage, destruction, dislocation, disruption. Of course, there are 6 D's of disasters. D's of disasters. Death, disease, damage, destruction, dislocation, disruption. What are the elements at risk as far as disasters are concerned? People, livestock, rural housing, houses vulnerable, crops, trees, telephones, electric poles, boats, looms, working implements, personal property, electricity, water, food supplies, infrastructure support, etc. etc. So these are all the elements at risk. What are the D's of disaster? Death, disease, damage, destruction, dislocation, and disruption. Now before that we try to understand disasters based on the response time, disasters based on the set on time. Okay, now let us go to what is the impact of disasters on people. Okay, impact of disasters on the people. Okay, psychological manifestations, loss of property, loss of lives of near and dear, agony and sufferings undergone during the incident. Children and women are most sufferers. Okay, so these are the impacts of the, this is only basic class, that's what I would like to say, just for 103 course. Okay, Agro 103 course, agrometeorology, okay, intro to agrometeorology, climate change, of that only. Scale of disasters. What are the scales of disasters? The disasters depend upon lead time available, intensity of hazard, duration, facial extent, density of population and extent, time of occurrence, whether a disaster is occurring during the daytime or night time. If it is during the daytime, okay, administrators or policymakers, even the NGOs, even from the people side, there will be a lot of report. If it is occurring at sometimes, in the midnight, the possibilities of this support is there. It is 100%, but still there is a problem. So vulnerability is existing in the elements at risk. What are the people? What is the livestock? What are the vulnerable elements? Vulnerable elements play an important role. So assessment of agricultural losses due to disasters. Assessment of agricultural losses due to disasters. That's what I am telling. So agricultural disasters only we are discussing from my book, Principles and Practice of Agricultural Assessment by V. Radha, Krishna, Murthy. Please subscribe to my channel, Agrometeorology, Farmers and Rural Development. There I have given further basic information. This is from 103 to say PG level information. That's what I am going to discuss with you. Assessment of agricultural losses. How we can assess the agricultural losses due to disasters. Gross cropped area and area affected. Areas completely damaged and partially damaged. Damage to natural resources. Crop yields under normal and partially damaged conditions. Losses of potential output. Loss of inputs. Stage of crop at the time of disaster. Prices used to calculate the money value of the property lost due to disasters, agency making the assessment of damages and its purpose. So this is how we assess the agricultural disasters. Now, what is the disaster management? After knowing this one, we should know how to manage the disasters. This is what the disasters management, the phases of disaster management. There are 3 phases of disaster management. The most important aspects of effective disaster management are precisely those activities. This is a wonderful line. Those, I repeat it twice, those activities that are undertaken and prepared at the times when there is no disaster. Once again, I would like to just state this one. The most important aspect of effective disaster management is, are those activities that are undertaken and prepared at the times when there is no disaster. So that much preparedness we require as far as the disaster management is concerned. Phases of disaster management. What are the phases of disaster management? For administrative and policy convenience, there are 3 distinct phases. These are identified as far as disaster management is concerned. First one is the disaster preparedness prior to the disaster. Rescue relief operations during the disaster. Rehabilitation after the disaster. Just like for climate change, avoidance, mitigation. Finally, if avoidance and mitigation is not possible, we get adapt to it. So these are all the techniques. The techniques are very important. Now, so what is the disaster management vision? So mitigation is the first thing we should try to first avoid, which we cannot avoid. Then we can go for mitigation, hazard evaluation, risk assessment, preventive strategy, emergency planning and responding levels. This is what we should say. Preparedness. Okay, once mitigation is not possible, then we prepare for it. How? Regular observations, regular reports, detection, radars and through satellites, area mapping, topology and low-lying areas as far as floods, as far as cyclones are concerned, recovery, rescue, rehabilitation and reconstruction. So what are these three? Disaster management vision. An administrator who is dealing with the disaster, he should have three aspects for his vision. What is mitigation, what is preparedness, what is recovery. So from here we try to go to the last one of our class, that is a very interesting one. What is community based disaster management? Okay, community based disaster management objectives and benefits. So with this we go to conclude our class. What is community based disaster management? The top-down approach, that means, from the administrators at the top level to the people, sometimes, may not be responsive under such situations. Specific local needs of the vulnerable communities have to be met, from top to bottom. When top to bottom is not working, what is the approach? Bottom to top approach. So, community-based disaster management was recognized as an effective administrative for managing and reducing the risks. So, community-based, they have the older generations in the villages, older generations in the cities and towns. They may have encountered such disasters. What was their response at that time? From there, the community-based disaster management starts. So let us see first the objectives of community-based disaster management. This is a new approach actually. What are the objectives? To prevent avoidable losses of life. The first objective is to prevent the avoidable losses of life. To minimize human sufferings, to alert and uniform, to elect. To alert, in other words, to alert and inform otherwise, public and authorities of impending risks and encourage activities to mitigate the same, that's what, to minimize the property damage and economic loss. First, we should prevent avoidable loss of life, then we should go for these things stepwise. The last one is to speed up recovery and rehabilitation towards the development. What all happened had happened. So we have to rehabilitate. We have to march ahead with development activities. That should be the motto of objectives as far as the community-based disaster management is concerned. So what are its benefits? Excellent benefits of community management. See, in my own experience, several I can quote. One of the things, when a flood was occurring in an NSS camp, I had gone with along with the students in the coastal areas. There, from one house to other house, the farmers themselves tied very strong rope from one house to other house where there are strong poles. So, taking that particular rope as the first support and used car tires. So on that, children were or older people were asked to sit on the tires. Then this particular rope they were asked, and people were pushing in the direction of the flow of the water. So that is a wonderful technique that I saw. In the days to come, I shared with you so many other things which I saw along with my students in the NSS camps. So what are the benefits? What are the benefits of community-based? Encourages high local people participation. People participation will be there. Encourage local traditional values. So that's what they feel it. Cost effective, because it is a localized, it is cost effective, because the local resources can be used. Enables the community for self-reliant. Yes, they become self-reliant, so that whenever such things happen, we are here as a collective team, we can win. Clears unrealistic myths. Whatever the things that are unrealistic, they are cleared, avoids the panic situation, increased sense of ownership and collective interest. People feel, I did it. So the major hydrometeorological disasters that impact agriculture are cyclones, floods and droughts. That's I have discussed with you at basics level and also at the PG level. Thank you for your patient hearing. May God bless you.